Tottenham 2, Fulham 0, and Tottenham go back to the top of the Premier League table with a convincing result over London rivals Fulham. What a great game from Tottenham. Genuinely, overall, I thought Tottenham played really well. And look, guys, I know this game was played on a Monday, so it was much later than the other games after the international break. But playing straight after the international break is never easy. Trust me, it is never easy fixture to play against. And I thought Tottenham were in complete control today. I mean, Ange Postecoglou came out and said before the game that he actually kind of liked the fact that his team played on Monday because it gave the chances of Romero and players like that would have gone far overseas across continents some more time back on the training ground before they got to play their game. And look, it came into full fruition today. I thought Tottenham were dominant from minute 1 to 90. I thought Fulham had chances, but I'd expect that from fellow Premier League sides. I'd expect them to have at least a couple chances, but I thought for the most part, Tottenham were a much better team. And what Tottenham did really well today in particular was punish Fulham mistakes, because in a game of fine margins, especially in the Premier League, you have to have the ability to put the ball in the back of net, especially when your opposition gives you away chances like that. And I thought Fulham, although they defended well for the most part, Calvin Bassey made 2 really bad errors in there. And Fulham and Spurs had the killers up front. They've got James Maddison and Son, whereas Fulham on the other side, although Tottenham made some mistakes as well, they weren't able to punish Tottenham. And in the end, Tottenham win 2-0. And look, guys, 2-0 is one of the most sustainable results in football. 2-0 is a fantastic, fantastic result. If you can win games 2-0 consistently, trust me, you're going to go a long way in this league. It's a clean sheet. It's a convincing win. In that respect, I thought Tottenham were well worth their money today and well worth their 3 points. I thought they were fantastic. But here's the thing, right? Tottenham still top of the table, but I think Tottenham also still to face a real top test where they've had their team stretched. Now, I think actually for Tottenham Hotspur, I'm going to make a point about Tottenham right here, right? I think for Tottenham, it's actually a blessing in disguise when Ange Postecoglou took over the job for multiple reasons. One, they've got no Europe, meaning they can play basically every week. And many will say that, oh, you want Champions League, you want Europa League. Actually, you don't. When you're a brand new manager, you want no European football, unless you're playing for a real top club, right? Then you're going to want the European football, etc. But you've just taken over Tottenham Hotspur. They've got no European football. It's a blessing in disguise for Ange Postecoglou because it gives him extra time on the training ground. When your brand new manager just walked in the door, right, you want to have time on the training ground to implement your philosophy on the current crop of players. And I think the fact that they're not in Europe, the fact they've been kicked out of the Carabao Cup early, little bit of a blessing in disguise for Tottenham Hotspur because it's really working. I mean, I've seen Arteta come to Arsenal, right? And in a season where Arsenal didn't have Champions League or Europa League, that one season where they filmed the All or Nothing documentary, Arsenal just got miles better. You couldn't believe it. It was completely overnight. They just completely transitioned into an actually decent football team. And I think something similar has happened with Tottenham Hotspur. Now, going into this season, having seen Harry Kane depart the club for Bayern Munich, many would have expected Tottenham to basically dissolve into nothingness. But they've done the complete opposite. And I was the one that called it to an extent. I said, look, guys, it's never as bad as you think in football. I think Harry Kane leaving obviously is a massive blow, but Tottenham had become the Harry Kane FC club. It became a case of under Mourinho, under Antonio Conte, Nuno Espirito Santo, etc. They would defend really well and focus on defending because they know Kane and Son are up front. So they didn't really worry about attacking. It was counterintuitive. I mean, if I have Son and Kane in my team, I'll be trying to attack as much as possible. But the Tottenham managers, Mourinho and Antonio Conte, did the opposite. They thought, we've got Kane and Son up front, so you might as well focus on defending because then when we get a chance up front, they'll probably put it away anyway. But it was a bit counterintuitive, you get what I mean? So I think Spurs got into a false sense of security of thinking, oh, with Kane up front, we're going to score so many goals. And what ended up happening it was harming the whole team. Now with Ange Postecoglou, he's put the handbrake down and actually starting to play free-flowing and nice football. And I made this a million times before. I don't care if you're the best centre-back on planet Earth. You much prefer attacking rather than defending as a footballer. No one wants to sit and defend and run around chasing players for 90 minutes. No one wants to do it. Every single footballer wants more possession. Every single footballer wants more chances, more attempts, everything. And I feel like Spurs now under Ange Postecoglou, they're playing more free-flowing and attacking football. And the players are embracing that. You brought in players like Maddison, for example. You got Sarr, Bissouma. Obviously, Bissouma didn't play today against Fulham, but players like that who are really embracing this new style of football, getting on the ball, making things happen. They've gone from 3 or 4 years of defensive, grueling, chasing the ball around, just really vigilant, just resolute, stuck in position type stuff, marshaled like an army, into now playing a bit more like magicians, a bit more flair. Everyone's free-flowing, everyone's running around the football pitch, playing with a smile on their face, etc. I think the players are embracing that. So I think you've got to give Ange Postecoglou a heap of credit for that. Now, obviously, I think he's been really lucky that he's come off the back of it, Antonio Conte and Jose Mourinho, because even if you play an ounce of forward-thinking football, Spurs fans are going to take to it like a duck to water because they've been so used to the negative football that's been displayed before under the managers that I mentioned previously. So I think that's really helped Ange Postecoglou. But nothing about Ange Postecoglou, and I said this the minute he walked in the door, actually, from his first press conference, his first match. Forget the football on the pitch for a second. I really like the way this man holds himself and his accountability. Now, this is actually such an underrated aspect of being a football manager. It's not only how you tactics the side, it's not only how you coach the players, it's also how you hold yourself. The manager is the focal point, is the head of the team. He's the head honcho. The players embody the manager. Is your manager going to be very boisterous and fiery and jumping around everywhere? More often than not, your team will embrace that. I mean, what's been a critic of Mikel Arteta, my club Arsenal, right? Is Arteta's a little bit too animated, he's a little bit too ants in your pants, running around everywhere, jumping up and down. What's Ange Postecoglou on the other hand? He's very calm, very reserved. And what we're seeing now from Tottenham is a very calm and reserved team. I mean, many would have expected for Tottenham to win 6 games and draw 2 in the opening 8 matches, to come today against Fulham, the late kickoff on a Monday evening after everyone else has played, knowing that they need to win to go back to the top of the Premier League table, basically. Many would expect them to go, you know what, we're probably going to drop points here. It's a Spursy thing, right, to drop points. But what did we get on the flip side? Not only did we get a Spurs victory, we got a Spurs victory that was controlled and resolute and convincing from minute 1 to 90. It never really looked like it was out of the equation that Spurs were going to win this football match. They were in complete control from minute 1 to 90. I think they deserve a heap of credit for that, Ange Postecoglou. I think he's instilled that in his side. And not just that about Tottenham. This is a brand new Tottenham team. I mean, I spoke about my club Arsenal at length, right? How we look at the Arsenal now with Saliba, Gabriel, Ben White, and Tomiyasu Zinchenko. You parallel that with a few seasons back when you got Socrates, Mustafi, Koscielny, Bellerin, or Ainsley Maitland-Niles. You've got Monreal or players like that. Do you get what I mean? Playing at left back, and you're sitting there thinking, it's Kolasinac as well. Like it's night and day, the two teams. It's the same with Tottenham Hotspur now. This isn't Davinson Sanchez and Eric Dyer and Ben Davies and Emerson Royale. It's Pedro Porro, Christian Romero, Mickey van der Ven, and of course Destiny Udogie. And instead of Hugo Lloris, who was making mistakes for fun last season, you've got Vicario in there, who for me has been one of the most underrated signings of the season. Made a fantastic stop in the first half against João Paulinho. So not only are they playing better football, their team has improved as a whole as well under Tottenham, and they've used the Harry Kane money well, because losing Harry Kane would have been a blow to them, but they didn't just sit there and go, we lost Harry Kane. Oh, let's try and sign another striker that's going to match Harry Kane's ability. They assessed it just like Liverpool did a few seasons back. When they lost Coutinho, Liverpool didn't go and try and get a Coutinho-ilk player. They signed a player that helped the rest of the squad. Now, I appreciate that they signed players like Mickey van der Ven, Pedro Porro, Destiny Udogie, obviously signed January, etc. James Maddison, before Harry Kane was let go of. But surely Daniel Levy and Spurs had in the back of their mind that Harry Kane's probably going to leave Tottenham. It's just a matter of when, not a matter of if. So let's reinvest the money wisely. They signed Mickey van der Ven, Vicario. You've got James Maddison, etc. 3 players already who are starting players for Tottenham. You sprinkle that in with Bissouma, who's found himself a new job at Tottenham after Conte refused to pay him. Sarr, who looks like a brand new player this season. You look at Son, who's been revived down the middle with Maddison in behind him. So it's really starting to come together now. If Spurs can avoid injuries, because that is a massive part of them. I mean, if Maddison and Son get injured, they go back to the old Spurs team. But if you avoid injuries, playing once every week because you're out of the European, obviously got no European football, you're out of the Carabao Cup, I think it could be a very, very special season for Tottenham Hotspur. Mark my words. I don't think they're going to go on to win the Premier League, but I think they're going to have a very good season. I think a lot of people are expecting Spurs to fall off, and Spurs, they need to get humbled, and Spurs it's just a hype around Tottenham right now. Here's the thing, right? Spurs are going to lose a game because they're not going to go unbeaten 38 matches. I mean, it's an incredible feat alone. They've gone 9 matches, 25% of the season without being defeated. They're not going to go the whole season undefeated, right? Spurs are going to lose 1 match, and you're already going to see the comments. People going, I told you so. Ange Ball's overrated, etc. They've lost the game. I mean, look at Man City. Man City arguably have had easier run of fixtures than Tottenham. Pep Guardiola's been in the Man City job for 6 years, and they've had a worse start to the season than Tottenham Hotspur. So that's all we need to say, really. I mean, I'm not saying for 1 minute that Tottenham are a better team than Man City. Make no mistake about it. But I think the job that Ange Postecoglou has done has been second to none. I think it's been unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. I think no matter what happens from now to the end of the season, I think it's been a very special run for Tottenham Hotspur. Now, do I think they're going to make Champions League? They've got a hell of a chance of doing so. Hell of a chance of doing so. I think they've still got to be wary because the start of the season is still early. We're still in the early days of the season, right? Still in the embryonic stage of the season. But if they can keep their players fit, if they can keep the momentum, I don't see why not, man. They've already played Arsenal away from home. That's a tough game you can get in the season. They've played Liverpool. They've played Man United. They've gone to places like Brentford, etc. So it hasn't exactly been an easy run of fixtures for Tottenham. But I think that for them, they've just got to keep the ship moving in the right direction. And it could be a very, very special season for them and their fan base. let's talk about Fulham. So Fulham under Marco Silva again came today, and Fulham showed a little bit of naivety, in my opinion. I think Fulham showed shades of why they are a good football team. You saw it today. I mean, the way they were popping the ball around, but goals they conceded were from mistakes. And at the end of the day, right, it's a game of fine margins. You give the ball away to Son and Maddison, you're gonna get punished. On the flip side, you got Raul Jimenez, you got Vinicius, you got Harry Wilson, you got Willian up front. They're not putting up away their chances. I thought in parts this game, Fulham were good. And I thought, to be fair, it was an evenly contested match. I think going both ways, I think both teams had chances. I just think Spurs overall had more of a foothold over the game. And you always felt like the game was never going to run away from Tottenham. Whereas from Fulham, you felt they were chasing the game. As soon as they went 1-0 down, it felt like they were always just like a dog chasing its tail. Like they were getting closer and closer, but they never really seemed to catch up to Tottenham Hotspur in that respect. But look, it's still early days for Marco Silva and Fulham this season. I think they still haven't had a terrible start to the season. I mean, I'm interested to see what their ambition is, to be honest, because there's a lot of clubs in that middle tier, the Crystal Palaces, the Fulham, the Brentfords, etc., where they're not quite at the level of the Brighton, Aston Villas, and Newcastles, and obviously they're not quite at the level as the Big Six. So where they really want to finish, there's only 8 European spots in the Premier League. Actually, 7 there might be. There's only 8 or 7 European spots in the Premier League. You can't really expect them to reach there. And equally, you don't really expect them to be in a relegation scrap. So there's quite a few teams in the Premier League, and I'd group Fulham in that group where they're not really fighting for anything. They're just existing in mediocrity. And I don't mean that in a harsh way, even though it sounds very harsh. It's just case in point, the fact. Fulham are not going to reach the European spots in the Premier League, and neither are they going to get relegated. So they're just existing. Do they go on a cup run? Maybe, I think so. But for now, they just got to keep trying to get better week in, week out. And who knows? Maybe down the line, if you make some really good appointments and you start to build in real system of play, you can start to get close to like the Brightons, the Aston Villas, and Newcastle, start to bridge that gap there. Because I think Brighton, Aston Villa, maybe less so Newcastle, because obviously they've got a big injection of cash now from the Saudi Arabian owners. But I think Brighton and Aston Villa can be basically a real role model on how you can improve and what to strive towards as a football team from the ground up in terms of improving your system, your personnel, etc. in the club and going from there. So I think that should be the role model for Fulham. But like I said today, right, just a result that you just take on the chin. They've got a good result against Arsenal, drew 2-2 against us. I'm still distraught how we managed to drop points at home to Fulham in that game, especially against 10 men Fulham. But today, it was just a bit of a learning curve for them. Don't make those mistakes in the Premier League and you'll be all right going forward. RG12, appreciate you on stream, my friend. I'm doing really well. This Spurs humbling will be so beautiful. When's it going to come, though? Because, look, I think, obviously, Spurs not going to go unbeaten this whole season. Let's be honest about it. But still, 25% of the season gone, and they've won, basically, 7 games and drawn 2. It's a fantastic return. Fantastic, man. I think even the most optimistic of Spurs fans will not in a million years dreamt of a start like this. I think Sky Sports showed a stat where it's the best start ever to a manager's first 9 games in the Premier League season. So I think he's done absolutely brilliantly. Ange Postecoglou, I think he's brought a renewed sense of vitality around the Spurs club. The fans are buying in. I mean, I'm watching the games right now. I'm from a neutral standpoint. Obviously, it's hard to be a neutral fan when you're an Arsenal fan, but from a neutral standpoint, I'm enjoying watching Tottenham Hotspur. I think they're a very fun team to watch. They pop the ball around nicely. They're going behind. They're forward thinking. They're aesthetic. They're easy on the eye to watch. They've got clinicality in front of goal. Maddison's an absolute joy to watch as well. I think it's a brilliant Spurs team to watch right now. And they've got a really good formula. They're getting results and they're playing nice football. And the fans will always love that. I ain't even being biased, but these are nothing special. I think you're being a little bit harsh there, RD12, man. I think if Arsenal started the season like this, you'd be all over it saying, oh my God, Arsenal doing brilliantly, 7 wins, 2 draws, etc. I think you've got to buy into this Tottenham Hotspur hype. Now, Spurs will lose a game and you'll see people all over Twitter, etc. saying, oh, I told you about Tottenham. They just lost the game, etc. Look, guys, Arsenal have drawn to Fulham. Man City have lost to Wolves. Freak results do happen. Just because Spurs might lose their next game or draw their next game, whoever it's against, I'm not too sure right now, doesn't mean that it underestimates what Ange has done. Ange Postecoglou has done a fantastic job at Tottenham to start. And they are really good. Really, really good. Now, the key is sustainability. I do agree. If a Maddison or Son goes down injured, they were missing Bissouma, though, today. And Bissouma's been one of their standout players this season. But if a Son or Maddison goes down injured, can they keep the ship afloat? That will be a real question to ask ourselves. But for now, buy into it. It's been a real good start for them. And look, I think for Spurs fans, they shouldn't be looking at this and thinking, oh, when's the bubble going to burst? When's it going to all pop? When's it all going to come crashing down like Bitcoin? I think for now, they just got to look at it and go, we're playing well right now. And we're not expecting much from this season at the start of the year. We weren't expecting to fight for the title. And many of us, after losing Harry Kane, weren't even expecting us to go for the Champions League spots. So for now, just keep it in perspective, right? keep the team pushing forward, cheer on the team. I think your bench depth is getting better. You're getting players come off the bench that impact in the football game as well, which is good. I mean, look at their striking backups. You got Brennan Johnson up there, who can be a backup as well, doing really well. So yeah, I think Spurs got a lot to look forward to, definitely this season. The thing I hate about these lot is the fact that when we were top last season, none of them were giving us credit whatsoever, assuming that it's rigged. So what do they expect from us? Well done, guys. Well, me, I'm a what's it called? On this channel, I try and be as unbiased as possible. So I will be as unbiased in my opinion. Arsenal last season were a very good football team. Very, very good football team. We are a good football team this season. In my opinion, we're better than last season. We haven't performed better than last season, but we are a better football team overall. Spurs this season deserve a heap of credit, though. I understand you don't want to give credit. You're an Arsenal fan. I'm an Arsenal fan as well. But from an unbiased standpoint, Spurs deserve an awful lot of credit. Spurs are the most improved team this season from last year. It has been an unbelievable journey from last season. Look at them last year to now. Having lost their main talisman, Harry Kane, to now, they're 10 times better. They're better as a team. There's more injection. They run more. They pass more. They shoot more. Everything's better about Tottenham. Now, the personnel's improved. Make no mistake about it. I mean, you've gone from Davinson Sanchez and Eric Dyer to Christian Romero and Mickey van der Ven. You've gone from Hugo Lloris, who makes mistakes for fun, a David De Gea 2.0, to Vicario, who looks like a safe pair of hands. You've gone from Ben Davies to Destiny Udogie. You've gone from Emerson Royale to Pedro Porro. You've gone from no attacking midfielder to James Maddison. I mean, is it really surprised that Spurs have improved, to be honest with it? But I think regardless, you gotta give a lot of credit to Tottenham because they have improved and their game's not been easy. They've gone to Emirates and drawn 2-2. It's a tough place to come to Arsenal and draw 2-2. It's a good result for Tottenham. Fantastic result. They've come to our home ground and got a 2-2 draw. They beat Man United 2-0 convincingly. They beat Liverpool. Yes, I know it was dodgy with the red cards and the offside goal, but they still beat Liverpool. Last second, got a winner. That's not easy to do. Spurs have done absolutely brilliantly, man. So you got to give them a heap of credit. Bear in mind, none of our opening games were rigged, whereas in one of Tottenham's games, say, if that was Arsenal, everyone would be on to us. Yeah, I guess, but football is football, man. It is what it is, man. Decisions won't always go your way. Good evening, man. I appreciate you on stream. It's Maddison, nothing else. Once again, man, you're throwing the shade on Tottenham, man. He gets injured and it's game over. Look, I'll be honest. I do want to see how Spurs do manage without James Maddison. But I think you're being a little bit harsh. If he gets injured, it's not exactly game over if he gets injured. Arsenal City have pedigree. Tottenham have been ish for decades. Last trophy was 2008 Carling Cup. Correct. Their last trophy was 2008 Carling Cup. But probability has no memory, right? So you can't just say, oh, they've done nothing for forever. Then they're not going to do anything now. Look, are Spurs going to win the title? I don't believe so. I don't think they will. I still don't think they're going to finish top four right now. I'll put Man United to finish top four. My top four right now is Arsenal, Liverpool, City, and United. No particular order. That's just my top four. But Spurs are doing well. And Spurs, look, you give it another few games, I could flip my decision. Look, when I ranked the managers at the start of this season, right, after about 4 or 5 games, I did a manager tier list. I put Ange Postecoglou in good. I'm seriously considering revising that to elite already. Because he's done a fantastic job in his time at Tottenham. Ange Postecoglou, he's done absolutely brilliantly. So I think you've got to give him a heap of credit, man. I think he's done a really good job, Ange Postecoglou. And yeah, the sky's the limit for him, man. The sky's the limit because he's playing really good football and the players are buying into it. So yeah, I think Spurs have done really well overall, man. Really well overall. You've got to give them a heap of credit. And look, I don't expect them to go on to win the title, but they keep pushing forward. Anything can happen, man. Anything can happen in this day and age. But yeah, I'm going to start to wrap up this stream, everyone. My next stream will be tomorrow for Sevilla versus Arsenal in the Champions League. I cannot wait for it. We need to bounce back after our disappointing loss to Lens and, to be fair, an even more disappointing draw to Chelsea, which is a bit of a shame, to be fair. But look, back in the Champions League, we need to win that one, in my opinion. A draw wouldn't be a terrible result, but for me, I think we need to win that one, assert some dominance over our group, and then go from there. I only give credit to them if they win games without Maddison. Fair, but let's see, man. Let's see. I don't wish injury on any player, but who knows? Can they survive without Maddison and Son? We're going to have to find out. We better win. Or Mikel will be looking for a new job. That's a bit harsh, man. I wouldn't be calling for Mikel's head too early. But yeah, what we will see is for now is, can Arsenal bounce back? I hope so against Sevilla. But I've been Wi-Fi, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. And I hope to catch you all in my next stream. Take care.